It is your boy back again with another video. Yes, Sirski, I'm back with another streaming video. Yeah. And today we're gonna react to what was my fault? Strange for you guys, but I liked it. Um, just fix this. Stop liking. Thank you. So today, we're going to react to the rise of Roman Reigns from 2010 until now, basically. If you don't know who Roman Reigns is, if you watch WWE, you know what it is. You get, you dig, but it's up. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, smash like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you guys are new. And follow me on social media link down below. So follow Twitch everywhere. Get to 50 followers on Twitch. I need it. And yeah, I will be streaming legit, not every day though. I stream today, I will stream tomorrow, I'll stream like more now. And yeah, let's get into it.
The Anoa'i family is one of the most storied families in
Yes,
wrestling
sir.
history. From the Wild Samoans
Moments
to
to
Yokozuna and
the
The Rock,
Rock.
the family has seen their fair share of top stars in the wrestling business. So on May 25th, 1985, when Leati Joe Anoa'i was born, you had to think that wrestling was the path that he would go down. But his interests were elsewhere. Anoa'i took on football as his key interest. His skills in football were so strong, he was available in the 2007 NFL Draft, but he went undrafted. He'd later be picked up by the Minnesota Vikings and Jacksonville Jaguars before he'd make his way up north to the CFL. After a stint with the Edmonton Eskimos, it just wasn't sitting right for him.
Yes, sir.
He then chose to move into the family business and become a professional wrestler. By 2010, with his family ties with The Rock and Rikishi, it helped him get signed to a developmental deal with Florida Championship Wrestling. Here he'd be renamed Roman Leaki. He made his FCW debut on August 19, 2010. Leaki would remain in FCW, going on to win tag team titles with Tyler Breeze, and even facing off against Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, his future Shield brothers. When WWE decided that NXT would be the new developmental brand, the FCW roster was merged into that new brand. In August of 2012, Leaki was repackaged into Roman Reigns. He was a dominant and physically imposing character who possessed a powerhouse aura to him. It appeared as though Reigns would have a long NXT run, especially as they had transitioned to developmental, so having a powerhouse like Reigns was the perfect combination. His run in NXT, though, wouldn't last very long. Alongside longtime indie stars Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, the group would go on to form the
Just gonna say this. One of the best factions in the WWE's history. The Shield was undefeated, unstoppable. Basically, they whooped ass. When you hear that theme song, that theme song, just somebody gets your ass whooped. You know that. That was that. When you hear it, boom, you know what's gonna happen. Somebody is gonna get their ass whooped or power bombed. So yeah, let's continue.
Shield. The premise of the Shield was three anti-establishment figures.
Yes.
They simply said they were here to bring justice where it was needed. That all began on November 18, 2012 in a triple threat match
Yes, sir.
John Cena, Ryback, and CM Punk. The group made their debut
I watched it actually.
in the weeks that followed, the Shield would become
the part of Ryback for the freaking tables.
Anyone in their path.
Yeah.
Originally, the thought was the group was working.
I think they lay out the Rock, Cena, everyone in the. I think they whooped everyone in the company. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Working for CM Punk, but that was quickly left behind. The Shield quickly took on a life of their own. These three dudes presented as a dominant force, and they lost very rarely in their initial 2-year run. The trio would normally compete in six-man tag team
Yes,
matches
sir.
where Rollins and Ambrose could carry a bulk of the load, given Reigns' inexperience in the ring. Reigns was the silent assassin that fans fell in love with. Vince McMahon at this time also fell in love with him. The group's dominance would see them go 6 months undefeated. Heading into the 2013 Extreme Rules pay-per-view, Reigns won his first title. The pair of himself and Seth Rollins beat Team Hell No for the tag team championships. Elsewhere on the card, Dean Ambrose had already taken the United States Championship from Kofi Kingston. The group was on a dominant run, and WWE was giving the fans a fresh new dominant group, which they hadn't seen in a very long time. On the October 14th, 2013 episode of Raw, Reigns and Rollins would lose their tag team titles. But at this time, they'd become heavies for the Authority.
That match was actually amazing. I know they lost, but the match was amazing. The Cody and Cody Rhodes and Goldust. That match was amazing.
Only catapulting their spots on the card. It was around this time where WWE started to give us hints of a breakup. It became even more likely when Reigns eliminated Rollins and Ambrose in the 2014 Royal Rumble. That was the match where Reigns had a dominant performance as he eliminated 12 performers and even made it into the final two, but he was ultimately thrown out by the winner, that being Batista. It was crazy how much the crowd wanted Reigns to win here, especially seeing how the dynamic...
Even I wanted him to win. And I like Batista. I wanted him to win over him.
Would shift a few years later. After WrestleMania 30, the Shield turned their back on the Authority and instead soaked in the growing adulation of the fans, turning babyface for the first time in their careers. Reigns, Ambrose, and Rollins.
Two amazing matches between the Shield and Evolution. Two amazing matches. Extreme Rules and that elimination match. I think they had 2 straight matches. Yeah.
Rollins would go undefeated with the
Evolution.
These 6 men would give us some amazing matches at Payback.
Yeah.
The Shield took home both wins and even won 3-0 in an elimination match, so that looked amazing for the group.
2 wins and 1 clean sweep. They booked them hard, dog.
Showing that they were in good graces with the power.
Yes, sir.
And that they had all the trust behind them. After that
Boom.
3-0 win against Evolution, the next night is where it all came together. Seth Rollins took a steel chair to Reigns' back and ended the run for the group. Rollins would align himself.
Nobody even thought about that. They break off the Shield when Seth just bam with that steel chair.
With the Authority and for the majority of the year. Reigns was still good with Ambrose, but Reigns would go a different direction. His first feud away from the Shield was against Randy Orton, with Reigns taking the win over the Viper at the 2014 SummerSlam.
Amazing match.
It became glaringly obvious that WWE was fast-tracking Roman Reigns to become the next megastar. It's around the latter months of 2014 where fan opinion started to change on him. I had mentioned how he was the silent assassin in the Shield, and the fans liked that, but here he was being presented as a main event level star, and he wasn't ready for it. If this had happened slowly like his Shield counterparts, it would have helped him here. Things became very messy, very quick, and that mess began at the 2015 Royal Rumble. It was clear that Reigns was being groomed to win the match and challenging Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at WrestleMania. What made it even worse was fan favorite Daniel Bryan had returned to WWE, and a large portion of the audience wanted this to be Bryan's win. When Reigns took the spotlight instead, a chorus of boos rained down in Philadelphia to the point where not even The Rock could help get Reigns over. This sort of rejection of a babyface was unseen, and with social media, even those who liked Reigns started to boo him because it was the cool thing to do. Heading into WrestleMania, things got more and more worse for Reigns.
That's the fun part of me. I never hated him. I like this guy. I don't care. You can hate him or like him. I don't give a fuck. I like this guy. Big fan of him. big lad.
He was made to look like a dork in front of WWE audiences. This came from his delivery on promos and WWE trying to make him a John Cena clone. I mean, you feed suffering succotash onto anyone and they're gonna get cancelled very quick. When WrestleMania 31 hit, WWE knew that there would be a major backlash from fans if Reigns were to win here. Here, WWE made a smart move to have Seth Rollins cash his money in the bank and end WrestleMania 31 with an unexpected moment. From here, fan sentiment towards Reigns just got worse. For the rest of 2015, the powers that be had to strip him away from the main event scene and have him in secondary feuds. But before the year would come to an end, WWE decided to stick with their gut and crown Reigns the new WWE Champion at Survivor Series 2015. Fearing backlash again, they had a Money in the Bank cash-in to draw sympathy towards a character which wasn't getting the loves from the fans that they had expected. 2015 ended with Vince McMahon coming back as an on-screen character to help get Reigns over. It kinda worked. I mean, when Reigns beat Sheamus for his second WWE title, the fans gave him a decent cheer. Not sure if this was because they wanted Roman to win, or they just didn't want Sheamus as the WWE Champion. Now in his second run with the WWE Championship, the McMahon family would try to stack the deck further against Reigns by making him defend his title in the Royal Rumble match and starting that match at number 1. Reigns would survive near the end stages of the match, but Triple H would be the one to dethrone Reigns. The plan heading into WrestleMania 32 was to stack the deck against Roman even further and have him take...
The main event was solid. He whooped his ass. But that's what I mean. I don't give a fuck if you're gonna say, too. I like him, you know what I mean? The guy is amazing. Trust. I know they booked him fucked up shit, man. You know what I mean? He still whooped Triple H's ass. He can still do it. Trust me.
Take on the they were relentless. Even when they saw WWE fans reject Reigns, they just kept pushing on with it because they were so determined. This only pissed off WWE fans even more because they were so persistent by telling us, this is the guy, so cheer for him. At WrestleMania 32, fans were not up for a Triple H and Roman Reigns match. When Reigns
still won though.
Won his third WWE title in less than a year, fans wanted every other guy who came in contact with Reigns to beat him. He did have some solid matches with AJ Styles, and thankfully for the majority who wanted Reigns to lose the WWE title, Seth Rollins returned from a knee injury. When Rollins made his return, he was cheered because the person he was beating up was Roman, so WWE fans took Seth's side. But WWE continued to present Reigns as a face, even though it looked like the time had come to turn him. Reigns lost the WWE title at Money in the Bank 2016. He may have also lost some trust backstage as he was suspended for violating the wellness policy at this time. It was Summer 16 and WWE decided to do another brand split. Reigns was taken by Raw in the draft, but he wouldn't be immediately propelled into the main event scene. After Vince McMahon saw his plan with Reigns wasn't working and the possibility of the wellness violation, Reigns was kept away from the main event scene. He would instead spend the remainder of the year in the mid-card feuding for the United States title as WWE wanted to cool his momentum before they tried again. This try would come in the form of a huge match against The Undertaker. Reigns eliminated Undertaker in the 2017 Royal Rumble, which led to Taker and Reigns main eventing WrestleMania and fighting over yards and dogs and I don't even know what else. Clearly, WWE wanted to keep Reigns in top feud.
He still won though. That's the main, you know what I mean? You can say he retired Undertaker, but he still won. He still beat him. You cannot. He deserved to. You cannot say he has to lose to him. Although I like both of them. Been watching this a long time. Not from. I'm okay. I'm not 22. But you know what I mean? He still won the WrestleMania. So you cannot say he didn't win. He still win. Let's get it.
Feuds, even if that meant him not winning titles, but this didn't do anyone any favors. The match was
I think this was his biggest win of his career, when over The Undertaker and John Cena at No Mercy at 2017, I think.
And what didn't help was the aging talent. Just couldn't keep up with Reigns. Reigns became only the second man ever to beat
Yes, sir.
Cena at the Showcase of the
Immortals.
and he had seemingly retired him too. The next night when he came out to proclaim WWE as his yard, this guy was
The night after that night, he got the biggest boost in the universe of history.
met with some attitude era heat.
Yeah.
The company had just made the guy who they wanted to push as the new head of the industry into an even more hated character. Reigns remained in the main event scene through 2017, but would lose time and time again. WWE even put on a WrestleMania worthy program between John Cena and Roman Reigns heading into No Mercy 2017.
Yes, sir.
In a promo beforehand,
That's kind of fucked up. He whooped his ass. 2017. That's the way he's gonna whoop his ass at SummerSlam. It's not your bye bye.
Cena bashed into Reigns and he basically addressed all the frustration fans had against him. Cena said Reigns was a bootleg copy of John Cena. He said Reigns was the reason Cena had to come back time and time again, and in the ultimate mic drop, he said that Reigns should be ashamed Cena's a part-timer because he could do this part-time better than Reigns could ever do it full-time. Reigns beat Cena at No Mercy in what looked like a passing of the torch moment, but WWE fans, they saw right through it.
Boom.
WWE fans just couldn't warm up to the guy. The only option left was a Shield reunion, and that's the route they took.
Yes, sir.
After
The
a
boys.
brief stint with Rollins and Ambrose, WWE went back to pushing Reigns as a singles competitor towards WrestleMania 34. Reigns would face Lesnar for the Universal Championship in the main event of the show, but he would shockingly go on to lose. He did get his revenge at SummerSlam of that year, winning the
I watched the match, and it was literally okay. If you're a Roman fan, you were happy. I was happy. I was screaming. I don't care.
Universal title for the
He
first
whooped
time.
that guy's ass.
Shortly thereafter, it was a very emotional situation. Reigns came out to address the
And
WWE Universe,
was-
telling them that he was re-diagnosed with leukemia. He vacated the Universal title and said his future looked up in the air.
The
The
Goose.
moment put professional wrestling in the back and focused on the
Yeah.
human aspect of Roman, as he told everyone his real name was Joe. He said one day he would be back to reclaim
Believe
his,
that.
but he didn't know when. This hint of real life made Reigns a little bit more loved. You could say it was in pity, but he had taken one of the most despised characters and have him win over a majority of the fans with his real life story. It was uncertain how long he'd be gone for, but he returned
That pop when he came back. Oh my god. This was 25th of February 2019.
very quickly. In February of
19.
2019, Reigns came back to announce that he was in remission.
Mhm.
This was followed with a final Shield reunion before Dean Ambrose left the company, and now it looked like the guy who they had tried so hard to make their top star would remain a babyface for years to come.
Yes, sir.
Even though reactions to Reigns were lukewarm at best.
Okay, but it's
After a
still-
win at WrestleMania
But he still won. He still won at WrestleMania 35. He lost at 34. He won at 33. Main event at WrestleMania 5 times.
35 against Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns was moved to SmackDown. After a very boring feud against Shane McMahon,
That was 2019. Or it was.
fans started to turn their backs on the big dog once again, fighting with Baron Corbin over if Reigns was an actual
I think that was at 2020. The end of 2019-ish.
god. Didn't really help
Yes.
much either. Thankfully, Reigns and Corbin went their separate ways,
Yes.
and it was time for WrestleMania 36.
6.
It was around this time that the world decided it wasn't
No,
going to
it's all
cooperate
right.
in a global pandemic.
Basically, what it means is when the world turned upside down. And it still is.
Out. As a result, Reigns removed himself from WrestleMania. The plan into the show was
The
to
big
have
dog.
Reigns take on Goldberg for the Universal
Universal Championship.
As Reigns was immunocompromised, he pulled himself away from the show and would go on a 5-month hiatus.
Yes,
That
sir.
5-month hiatus may have been the greatest move in Roman Reigns' professional wrestling career. Reigns returned from his absence at SummerSlam 2020, following a
That was SummerSlam 2020. You never see it coming. He's spirit of living Jesus out of this guy.
Match between the Fiend and
Braun
Strowman
Strowman.
and attacked both of them into a pulp.
Yes, sir.
Returned with a new attitude and physique, which made him look more dominant.
This is the big dog, aka the tribal chief. Acknowledge him.
His mannerisms in his return suggested that he had finally turned heel, and this was proven true when he aligned himself with Paul Heyman.
Yes, sir.
And he's been untouchable ever since.
Untouchable, undefeated.
After SummerSlam, a triple threat match was made between Fiend, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns for the Universal
Championship.
Reigns didn't sign the contract for the match until the latter stage of the match.
Yes, sir.
Came in, scooped up the dub, and the Universal Championship.
Yes, sir.
Championship might have been a laughing stock. For most of its lineage, this title was held by part-timers, had pretty bad title runs attached to it, and some horrible booking decisions were made as well. He crowned himself Universal Champion, and he hasn't looked back since.
Yes, sir.
He proclaimed himself as the Tribal Chief, basically saying that he was the final boss and the reason that WWE employees had food on the table. He was the main event, he was the merchandise, and he was the best in the business. The first order of business for the self-proclaimed head of the table was
the best two matches him and Jay had while Hell in the Cell, the I Quit match, and the Clash of Champions.
Amazing feud with his cousin Jay
Uso.
After
main event Uso
won a fatal 4-way #1 contenders match,
yes, sir.
Most of us thought it was a pretty weird way to kick off Reigns' return to the company. But man, were we ever proved wrong. Jey Uso and Roman Reigns told the story of their Samoan heritage and the high standard that Reigns was held in. Reigns said that he had a legacy to uphold, and going through Jey Uso was nothing more than that. It wasn't personal.
The best storytelling were two mega star matches.
But it was about showing Uso
7 year plays the fuck up, baby.
The family runs because of Reigns. Over the course of the rivalry, we saw Reigns get more methodical in his mannerisms, and his heel turn was in full swing. Everything, the way he spoke, to his slow entrance, and even some minor changes in his moveset only added to the depth of his character. He completely transformed his character and added in elements which only made him stronger. At Clash of Champions, it was a straight beatdown of Jey Uso. When Jey did
basically fall in line, get your ass whooped. Basically choose acknowledge him or get your ass whooped. Basically
get his offense in, Roman went to low ball tactics or
low blows.
Once the beatdown got to uncomfortable levels, Jay's brother came in, threw in the towel to save his brother, and that's it. That's how it ended. It was so bad of a beatdown that someone else had to come end the match. As Reigns stood over Uso, he wanted to be acknowledged as the Tribal Chief. After a strong match at Clash of Champions, Jey Uso and Roman Reigns would face off inside Hell in a Cell in an I Quit match. Reigns couldn't settle for the fact that he wasn't acknowledged as the head of the table. At Hell in a Cell, the match was very uneasy. Reigns was reluctant to hurt his own blood at first, but after Uso didn't stay down, he got more and more vicious towards the end of the match. Near the end of the match, Reigns took the officials out of the match and was standing over Jey, ready to drop steel steps on him. As Jimmy Uso comes down to cradle his brother, Reigns falls to the mat.
What a match. Love it. He turned face 2 seconds, then he turned heel.
Uso tells Reigns to remember who was laying on the mat and that this was a family member. After that, Reigns says, "I don't even remember who I am anymore," and he starts to shed a tear. As Jimmy reaches for Reigns to shake hands, Reigns puts him in a guillotine and Jey has to quit, all to save his brother.
Okay, sir.
This match was storytelling at its finest. It's pretty weird to think how Jey Uso was in one of the best matches of 2020. This match had storytelling, physicality, and emotion. Everything sports entertainment should be. Reigns' verbal jabs throughout the match only made the match more uneasy, and I'd say it made it more appealing. His character had completely changed.
Yes, sir.
Someone not to be
one of the best Survivor Series matches I ever seen. Roman versus Drew McIntyre, 2020.
Messed with. Reigns had finally arrived.
Yes,
Reigns was now the bona fide superstar the company always wanted him to be. After the match, Jey Uso joined forces with Roman Reigns, and he single-handedly changed the trajectory of his career.
Yeah.
Reigns is in a position where he elevates everyone he works with, win or loss. Reigns is the focal point of WWE. Everything he does makes you want more. When you leave the consumer wanting more, you're building up your product correctly. For a guy who most of us wanted to shut up a few years ago, now we wait for his every move.
Yes,
Feuding
sir.
with Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre,
Tired
Daniel
of
Bryan,
being
and Edge
Edge.
have only further solidified his amazing talent
The best match of WrestleMania. Him, Edge, Bryan, Reigns. Stack them up, pin them.
and abilities. The dynamic of heels and babyfaces have been thrown away in recent years, but Reigns feels like a true mega heel.
Yes,
He
sir.
possesses an aura around him which no one else in the company has. Overall, it's a weird arc for Roman Reigns. Kinda a rise and fall and rise again, if you will. This guy went from someone who people were clamoring to see succeed. When that success came to him,
Let's see if this match can happen sometime this year. These two former brothers, The Shield, could be former. These two are amazing in the ring. Trust me, these two are too amazing.
a bit too quick,
Yes, sir.
fans turned their back on him, and rightfully so. It would have worked better if it came slowly, but I feel like you can look back at that period in Roman Reigns' career as a time for growth. When people called him out in certain aspects, he improved those. He showed a willingness to adapt. I mean, if your boss tells you to go out there and win, you're not going to tell him no. After the years of hate and negative fan reaction, a break was needed. Once he came back, he gave fans exactly what they wanted to see from him, and that was a rejuvenated character. They wanted to see what Roman Reigns could bring to the table, and they have had that on full display. He now commands the show on his own. He is that guy. The character
He runs the yard. He,
transformation
he runs SmackDown. Believe that.
has been amazing, and he will go down as the biggest superstar generation in WWE, whether you like it or not. The possibility for mega matches are there too, which will only
If that happens, that match gonna be amazing. Rock versus Roman. I take it. WrestleMania 38. Book it. In Miami.
cement him in
Was
the
what in LA.
annals of
Los
WWE.
Angeles.
So when you look at the career of Roman Reigns, I think it's safe to say it hasn't been the smoothest ride, but it's been one where we've experienced it with him. I think we can safely say
Yes, sir.
has swayed a lot of opinion of him into the other direction. His career trajectory is still nuts, considering we're still at the opening stages of what could be an amazing run of dominance and one of the most legendary careers in WWE. This man is the show. This man is WWE, and this man is the head of the table.
Table. Acknowledge him. Believe that, baby. So yeah. Did it for the stream. Or as I would say, as a good idea for messages, especially if I comment down below, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let me know what way you. Let me know what you guys think about this. Everyone think about this video. We can have discussions in the comments, Go back and forth. Raise the fuck up, I love this. I mean, from being basically assassin in the Shield to being the most hated guy in the company. Basically, for them, not me though. I love this guy. I watched this from when he was in the Shield until now. I never hated this guy. So don't come at me, dog. And yeah, big shout out to Super Geek Studios. I'll put their link in the description. Go subscribe to them. Yeah, social media link down below. Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. And maybe I will put my TikTok. And yeah, We out. Daddy. Bruce. And one more thing. Acknowledge him. You gotta hate me for this still.